Hello, hello, hello. Marietta back with another video. I pray that all is well. I really appreciate y'all tuning in. I just want to thank each and every one of y'all for taking the time to watch my video. Today we're going to talk about the homeless and what it looks like for them for day and night. Day and night, I would for me, I want to talk about it from the aspect of me being homeless before. I want to go that route first. I've been in that situation where you feel as though that you have no one, you have nowhere to go, you don't want to bother people, you don't want people to say I told you so. So you got to spend your days walking up and down the street. You just walk for hours, you walk for days. You look for places where you can go that is safe. You mingle and you meet people all the time. There's no average day in the life of a homeless person. Let's just put it that way. There's no average day. It seems like the days and the nights begin to run together after a while because you're out there with no covering, you're out there with no shelter, you're just out there and you're just looking for places to lay your head. You're looking for people that you can talk with. You try your best to be as nice to people as you possibly can as you go because you don't want to end up in a confrontation or fighting with anybody while you're out there. You're always looking for food. Clothing is hard. Clothing is hard to find clothing when you're out there on the street, and it's hard to really keep yourself your hygiene level up while you're out there as well. You know, there's just no average day when you're facing homelessness. You know, life sometimes with homelessness can really take its toll, but yet and still it's a learning experience. And as we see a lot of people becoming homeless today, it could cause a lot of fear in the land. It can cause a lot of fear because see, everybody's not meant or built to live outdoors. Some people don't like to be outdoors. People don't like bugs. People are afraid of the dark. You got people out there that are afraid to communicate with other people. You got people out there that just do not want to talk to people. And when you're homeless, you have to be able to be flexible. You have to talk to somebody, and there's always going to be people trying to talk to you, and they're always going to be in your face. And living on the street is, you don't have that electric switch that you can turn off and on, and when it gets dark, it's dark. It's dark. It's pitch black out there. If you don't have enough light, or you don't have no candles, you don't have no flashlights, you don't have nothing, and you need to connect with some folks that can protect you as well. So you want to get where you can be protected, because unfortunately, there's a lot of violence that goes on out there in them streets. When you're out there, a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol out there on the streets. You see some things on the streets that truly you wish you never ever seen, and you can't unsee them once you see them. Being out there on the street is one of the hardest lessons, the hardest place that people have to be. This is why I'm so afraid of people now being out on the street with no clothes, no food, nowhere to go, nobody to connect with, especially when they got children. This is a terrible place to be, and least of all through the summer. But now we're going through the winter months. We're going into the winter months as people are being forced to be homeless in this time, and they're getting forced out of their homes in the cold due to whatever reason, whether it's the high rent, the high taxes, the high whatever it is that's causing them to be forced to the street. We know that this is not the way God intended for us to live. We're not made for this. We're not built to be out in the elements like that. We don't have that fur on our skin. We were not bears. We're human beings, and we're fleshful beings, and we're not built to be out there in the elements like that. Yeah, you got your daredevils that like to be out there, but most of the people that are headed to the street now, these are people that are not used to being out there and don't know how to survive out there. It is dangerous out there. It is truly dangerous out there. Finding a safe place to sleep. First of all, before you find a safe place to sleep, you got to figure out how you're going to eat. Trying to figure out where you can get food from. It's not every day that somebody's going to come and hand you $5 or $10 or $3 or $4 or even offer you a meal. One thing I have learned that when you're out on the street is just like another part of life, that people will offer you liquor and alcohol. They'll offer you drugs before they offer you a sandwich. They would be so glad to get you high so that they can violate you, so they can take you to a place, take you through some situations that you ain't never been in. So many people go through so much trouble when they're out there on the street, as far as being essayed or assaulted and that type of thing when they're out there homeless on the street. You know, looking for breakfast in the morning. You may or may not. This is why I tell y'all, a lot of times you don't know how blessed you are when you're inside the house and you can go to your refrigerator and get something to eat. When you're homeless and you're out there on the street, you no longer have no refrigerator. You lose a lot of things that you're comfortable with having. Inside of a home, you're comfortable, first of all, with the four walls that cover you. Then you're comfortable with having your own things, your own room, your own TV, your own thermostat. You got things in a house that you do not have when you're out there on the street, but yet when you're inside these homes, y'all take them for granted. You should not take the things that God is giving you for granted, no matter how big or how small it is. It's all a blessing, and you will understand that when you become homeless and you never had it. And having a homeless experience will teach you and humble you. It truly will humble you, and it will teach you some things. I did make a few notes. Let me see what I got on my notes here. It's not easy to take care of your basic needs while you're out there. That's another thing. Finding places to shower, finding places to bathe and brush your teeth and clean up, and having things to clean up with. It's hard out there in them streets to be able to do all of that because of the fact that you have to find money, especially if you don't have no money and you out there broke and you don't have nobody to help you, and you really got to go hard with it, and you really got to figure out how to be homeless all by yourself through the day and the night. The day and the night of being homeless, sometimes you'll be out there so long you'll get delusional and it'll start running together. But the hardest part about being homeless is when you got to make it through these cold temperatures. You got to make it through these cold temperatures, and you don't have the right clothing, and you don't have the right footwear, and you don't have the right even mindset to even be out there like that. It becomes very dangerous, and God forbid if you was to get sick out there. A lot of times you find some people that would actually try to find shelter by going inside of the emergency room of the hospital, even if they pretended they were. I've seen some that said that they were sick and they were not sick. They would go and pretend they were sick just so that they can get inside. They're not worried about paying no bill because they know they ain't got no money to pay no bill. Credit most of the time is already ruined. By the time they get to the homeless stage, they have already ruined their credit, so they're not even worried about that. But they would use the hospital as a way of saying they're going to go in there and be treated so that they can have a place to stay for the night. It's just totally unpredictable. It's unsafe. Finding places to sleep. You'll find yourself sleeping in the park, on the park bench. You might find yourself sleeping in under the bridge. You might find yourself sleeping just on the side of the road or on the sidewalk, right on the public sidewalk. You'll lay your head right on that concrete. It becomes your mattress. I've seen a lot of people dragging mattresses from trash cans. Anything they can find, anything you can find, clothing that is thrown away in the dumpster becomes a padding for you to sleep on. When you're homeless, you would do whatever it takes to survive. That's why it's so hard for me to see, and I'm so passionate about trying to make sure that the house that you have, that you do your best, fight hard as you can to stay inside of the house if you know you're not built to be out there like that. And this is why it's better to try to mend some fences with some folks so that you'll be able to team up with some folks and maybe be able to find somebody that you can live with, opposed to being out there facing homelessness. Facing homelessness is not for the weak. It's not easy. It's not easy. If you're afraid of the dark, it's not easy. If you don't know what to do with your time in the daytime, it becomes very challenging when you can't figure out exactly what you're going to do with all your time in the daytime and you don't know where you're going to lay your head at night. You'll find yourself to a place where you have to keep moving. And now they're trying to make it so that it's against the law to be homeless, so you don't want to get yourself locked up, so you might find yourself walking more than usual. You may end up walking half the night just so that you won't get locked up, but eventually the body's going to have to shut down and the body's going to have to sleep someplace. We are a being that is made to sleep. We cannot walk all night long 24/7. We can't walk 24 hours and just keep walking and walking and walking and walking and walking. You can't stand up and sleep every single night. Your body's going to shut down on you. Eventually, you're going to shut down. Unfortunately, we have a lot of homelessness that's going on in the world today. Right now, as we speak, in America, we got a whole lot of people that are headed to the street due to the evictions that are going on, the high cost of rent is going on, the high cost of mortgages, the taxes and things of that nature that's going up. People cannot afford jobs being laid off. You know, it's just so many things that's causing people to end up homeless in the street. Cars being repossessed, things of that nature, having no place to lay your head, no place where you can be, no place where you could be safe, no place where you could be covered. And then now you're afraid that you'll be facing jail time, and so you're caught out on the street, caught sleeping on the street, getting to a place where it is very dangerous just to be. It's very dangerous just to be. Just to be. And I think about the scripture. When I think about it, I'll be thinking about the scripture, the one that says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. It's easy to say I will fear no evil, but you do get scared. Hold on a minute, y'all. Hold on. Yeah, so walking around all night long, that can't be the ticket. You've got to be able to relax sometime. And you know, I was doing some research, and I found out that around 23 out of every 10,000 Americans, this is what I'm looking at on my device right here in my hand right here, 23 out of every 10,000 Americans, that's 771,480 people experienced homelessness in January 2024, according to the Department of Housing and Urban Development. That's a lot of people, y'all. That's a lot of people that have been experiencing homelessness. That's in 2024. So I'm pretty sure that it has escalated now. We're in 2025, and people are ending up homeless more and more every single day. So with that being said, I mean, we are moving into an era time where it's just purely, they're trying to normalize putting you outdoors, normalize you being homeless, normalize you living in the car, normalize locking you up after all this situation happened. If you're not part of the elite committee, you may find yourself in this situation of being homelessness and being locked up because you're homeless. You can't sleep in the car, you can't afford the apartment, you can't afford the mortgage, you can't afford to be anywhere, you don't know anybody to mix with, share with, to be able to build with. So therefore that puts you out there all by yourself. Just imagine how many people are out there afraid of the dark right now, that are afraid of the dark. They make it through the daytime, but they dread the darkness, because the darkness is when things begin to happen. Y'all know that thing they used to always say, the freaks come out at night. It's scary to be moving around out there in them streets at night, and then to not be able to eat, to not to know if you got clean water, not to be able to know if you can take a bath, and then this witness so much violence and so much abuse that goes on out there in them streets at night. So y'all type in the comments if you've ever been homeless. What was your homeless experience? How did you feel being out there homeless? What was your first night experience of being out there in the dark and then not being able to see and not being able to find a place to sleep? See, because back in the day, when I went through the homeless experience, you could sleep anywhere. You could just get yourself a blanket and curl up. And most of the time, you know, you had people out there that would give you a blanket, would give you a coat, would basically try to buy you a sandwich, if nothing else. Nowadays, you got ruthless people out there on the street. Now, from what I'm seeing as I move around and I see how the homeless people are conducting themselves, they get in a doorway of a building, a doorway of a department store, and they're trying to block themselves from shield themselves from the wind and the rain and the cold and the storm and all of these things that come on. So they get in a doorway and try to sleep there to try to get comfortable to be able to make it, because it makes you feel like you're in a confined space. So this is why a lot of them try to find doorways to get into, or they get in a park bench, and a park bench, they just get to a point where they just give up and their bodies are shut down and they don't care what happens to them at certain points. They got to sleep, they got the rest. So now with the economy being the way it is, and it's making it hard to be against the law to be homeless, they find yourself laying on the street, and you may wake up and you got 1,000 lights in your face, and they picking you up and they hauling you on out of here, you know, to God knows where, to do to God knows what. And I mean, you just really got to be careful. So it's like saying, you try your best to hold on to the few things that you can hold on to. Do your best. There's no time to be wasting no money right now. Homelessness is on an all-time high. They do not care about putting you out there on the street. I mean, you got to realize there's a lot of things that they'll hold you accountable for. Now as they say, just call a thing, they're holding you accountable. They're holding you accountable. And it's like saying, if you end up on the street, it's almost like, people are saying that's your choice. That's your choice for not doing what you're supposed to do. That's your choice for not paying your bills. That's your choice for not making right choices in life. But everybody goes through some hardship at some point in your life. I mean, there's not a person that has not faced some type of hardship sometime in your life. So we got to give grace where grace is due, because God is giving grace onto us. So with that being said, I'm going to leave this video right here, because we're talking about the homeless and the day and the night. Day and the night of the homeless. Day and the night of the homeless seem to look the same. Day and the night of the homeless, if they have no money, they have nowhere to go, they have no place to lay their head, they have no place to shower, they have no place to have their basic needs met, no money to fend for themselves. Just being out there homeless, walking around all day long is a lot on the body. It takes take a toll on the body. So I'm just going to leave it there, and y'all be careful. Try to do the best you can. If you can help a homeless person any kind of way, even if it's buy them a coffee and sit there and listen at their story. You just don't know how blessed it is to have somebody that cares, somebody that just wants to give you 5 minutes of their time because they're already down. You don't kick a person when they're down. So sometimes you just got to be careful. You got to use your discernment as well. Don't just go out there and just attach yourself to anybody and try to listen to anybody's story. You got to be led by the Spirit. You got to be anointed to deal with people when they're going through situations, because you don't know who's going to take your head off or who's going to give you a smile and just give you a war story and tell you about where they've been and how they've been through it. Just need to be somebody to talk to, or just need for you to put a prayer on them so that they may be on their way. And I mean, when you're out there dealing with the homeless, treat them with respect. If you can't help them, do not hurt them, because they've already gone through a lot. facing homelessness in the day and the night. It's got to be a terrible thing. And right now, we got so many people out there that are getting ready to face homeless. Some of us may end up out there. If you see me back out there because of no fault of my own or what I'm going through, just always remember that I love you. God loves you more. So I will always be there to speak life into a dark situation. So with that being said, if and so you're subscribed to the channel, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you are subscribed to the channel, welcome. Thank you for being here. If you've not turned your notification bells on, please turn your notification bells on so that you'll be notified when I drop my next video, because it is time for us to get a conversation going about the day and the night time of being homeless. Let's talk about it.